Welcome back. My next guest is Julie Sadowski, the Executive Director of the Rockland Community Foundation. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, George.
So, Julie, I'm delighted to have you here. The Rockland Community Foundation is a great organization that helps folks do an awful lot of good within our community by creating funds and helping them to manage funds that can really help out a number of organizations and charitable endeavors throughout all of Rockland County. And so it's a unique organization that people don't know an awful lot about. And so it's a great opportunity to have you here as our guest and maybe talk a little bit about the foundation. Before we get to that, though, maybe you could just, for the benefit of our viewers, talk a little bit about yourself and your background and how you ended up at the foundation.
Okay, sure. So I am a longtime Rockland County resident. I actually moved up to Suffolk, where I still live, back in my last day of 6th grade, which was many years ago, without divulging the name and the year, and I have been here ever since. My professional background started off, I actually wanted to be a meteorologist. I majored in geology and clearly took a different path. When my kids were very young, I was in the corporate world in the photo industry and recognized that I needed to have a little bit of a change in my professional life. And I was very fortunate. I ended up finding a job in the nonprofit world. That's what launched my nonprofit career. It was what was the Hudson Valley Children's Museum many years ago. So I've now been in the not-for-profit world longer than I was in the for-profit world. And I came to the Community Foundation about 8 months ago and was very happy to be able to be part of what is a growing organization.
So just jumping back, the Hudson Valley Children's Museum used to be down in Nyack. That was a great, great program, that was down there. So kudos to you for your involvement down there. The Rockland Community Foundation, maybe you could kind of just in kind of general overtones, talk about what it does, and because a lot of people may not be familiar with exactly what the Community Foundation does, but it really kind of bundles, if you will, and manages a number of funds and enables people with a charitable mindset to be able to maximize their charitable giving. So maybe you could talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So, people are very familiar with what a foundation is. We've heard of the Bloomberg Foundation, the Michael J. Fox Foundation, things of that nature. And typically, to start your own foundation requires a significant amount of money. Community foundations, which, fun fact, there are about over 700 of in the country, enable people to have a more strategic philanthropic plan through a not-for-profit organization, which is what we are, so that they can continue to build the strength and strengthen the power of giving. That's our tagline, actually, within the community. So we help people do this in several different ways. One of the most well-known types of funds that we steward are donor-advised funds. So these are people within the community who are philanthropic to the core, give to many of the nonprofits, to many very important initiatives in our community, and we help manage them. We also do a great deal of scholarships. We have over 15 scholarships that we steward, some of which are in the Clarkstown area, and we give grants back out to students, primarily seniors who are getting ready for college, but there are other scholarships that we steward that are for more kids who are going to be studying more trade-oriented careers. We also work very closely with the not-for-profit community, and we have several project funds for nonprofits, and we help them to build endowments. We call them agency endowments because, as we all know, in the not-for-profit community, board members come and go, there are term limits, so oftentimes nonprofits will look to us to start a fund that ensures that they will have the wherewithal to grow their organizations in the future. And the other thing we do, because we are a granting entity, is we have something called board-directed funds. And these are funds that we actually manage, our board of director, and grant back to the community. So a great example of that are our innovative teaching grants. And we give out about 15 of those a year. They're $500. And these grants are used for really interesting modules, if you will, that teachers are not able to purchase for their students through the school budget. So for example, yesterday I was at Felix Festa Middle School. We did a presentation with a giant check, and that was for a drone program. So, and I was very fortunate I was able to have a demonstration. So the teacher had a drone and he was working off of his computer with different programming. That's beyond my vernacular, and the students were amazingly engaged in this, and the drone was whizzing around the room. So that's something that typically the school budget would not be able to purchase, so we're able to grant this so that different schools can take advantage of that. Another example of one of our board-directed grants is our food pantry grants. So we're just about poised to announce that in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, my goal as the executive director is really to continue to build the foundation. And what that will ultimately do is to strengthen the philanthropic tapestry, if you will, of Rockland County. You know, we're very fortunate Rockland County people. We're a giving community, and being able to do this through a community foundation is one of the best ways to give back. So I'm hoping that we can continue to build the types of grants that we do as well, and to get more people to develop funds with us.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about just the number of funds that you have and dollars managed. So approximately how many funds, you know? Are
so we have over 75 funds that we are currently stewarding. Our net assets are $2.3 million, so, you know, which is a nice amount. This is something there too we are looking to grow as well. And, you know, our funds are across the board. As I, you know, mentioned, we have donor advised funds, scholarships, field of interest. We're looking to engage more with the not-for-profit community as well.
So we'll often get this, often have situations, you know, where frankly, very, very many times where it's a person who's dealt with a personal tragedy, or they've experienced you know, a hardship, and they come through the other side of it, and they want to be able to give back. So folks that will do things like for raising money to assist families that might be dealing with different types of cancers, folks that might have experienced the sudden traumatic death of a young person.
Sure.
And they'll create individual foundations. So would that be the type of fund that a person could work through you to kind of create and establish?
Yes, I mean, certainly memorial funds, you know, we have many of those, people who have a need after a tragedy, you know, to do something good in someone's memory. You know, we opened a fund last year. It was a scholarship fund in memory of a young woman from the Suffern area. And, you know, now there will be a scholarship in her name that will go on for many, many years to come. You know, you mentioned if someone has passed, God forbid, from cancer, you know, that would be a great way to memorialize someone, to start a fund. And the proceeds from that fund would not necessarily go to an individual. You know, that's not how a community foundation model works. But it would go to create awareness, for example, or a donation could be made, you know, to the American Cancer Society through the Rockland Community Foundation. So those were excellent examples.
So if a person wants to create a fund, they would contact you. I mean, there's a fee structure to this as well. That's how part of that.
Yes, there is a fee structure. So if someone were to call us, we would meet with them. There's some very simple paperwork to be filled out. Typically, a fund is open within 24 hours. There is a one-time fee of $200, so that's one and done. And then depending on the size of the fund, if it's under $25,000, the fund will be billed $250 a year. And it's very streamlined. It's taken out on a quarterly basis, so that's $62 and change.
Mm-hmm.
And usually funds will grow. The amount of income that's generated will offset that. So
Right.
it's a very, very cost-efficient way to do this. You know, if people were to look at a Fidelity, for argument's sake, or Edward Jones, for argument's sake, you know, the cost of doing that is typically a little bit more. But there's a lot more value added that we provide as a community foundation.
Right.
For example, anytime we open a new fund, we promote it heavily. We want to make sure that people are aware and are able to donate. We generate the acknowledgement letters, you know, which is huge. You know, so if you were to make a donation to ABC Fund, a letter would go out automatically acknowledging that, you know, which you can use for tax purposes. So it's a very cost-efficient way, you know, to manage your philanthropy and to do your philanthropy right, if you will.
So we're just about out of time, but how does someone learn more and get in contact with you? And are there any ways or events that are coming up where folks can be able to promote the foundation or support the work of the foundation?
Sure. So just about a week ago, which you were there,
Yeah.
thank you, we had a ribbon cutting, so we now have a physical office, so people can give us a call. Or visit our website. I'm always happy to get together and find out what the needs are, you know,
Right.
what are the philanthropic goals, even to get corporations involved. Sometimes it makes sense for us to work with a company. And then, you know, we get the paperwork pulled together and get the fund set up. We do one big event a year, which is our signature dinner, and that will take place again in March. More information to come on that. And to answer your question, if people are interested in supporting the Rockland Community Foundation, you know, I would encourage people to look at the list of over 75 funds that we have. See if there's something there that speaks to you. You can donate to that particular fund and help grow that fund holder's mission. General donations can also be made, you know, which help offset some of our operating expenses. I will say that we are a very lean and mean organization. I am the only full-time employee, so anybody who donates to the Rockland Community Foundation knows that the funding, the money that's being donated to us is not used just to, it's used in a very smart way. But we are looking, you know, to become larger and to grow and to be, you know, more of a force in the philanthropic community.
But, well, Julie, I want to thank you for being a great guest and kind of giving a comprehensive overview of the Community Foundation. I've been familiar with the foundation for very many years. When I worked in the not-for-profit sector before becoming town supervisor, some of the organizations I was involved with either had funds with the Community Foundation or actually were a recipient of funds from the board, particularly the food pantry funds. And you guys do great work. People need to know more about it, and hopefully folks can contribute to enhancing your mission. Just if you could give your contact info one more time so that folks can get in contact or learn more about the foundation, where do they go?
They can email me, julie@rocklandgives.org, or give us a call at 845-947-2868.
Great. And you have a website as well?
Yes, www.rocklandgives.org.
Great. Well, Julie, thanks so much.
Thank you, George.
And
Appreciate
I
it.
wish you well going forward in this very tough area of philanthropy, but Rockland's a generous community, and the Community Foundation is another way in which people can learn more and help out.
Thank you.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.